Molly Jong-Fast is a natural-born writer who is smart, articulate, courageous, and celebrated for her irreverent and sometimes biting intellect and humor, which all boils down to the fact that Molly Jong-Fast and E. Jean-Carroll have an awful lot in common. Now, a few words about E. Jean-Carroll, our speaker in the spotlight. I'm going to cut through the mustard and just this once put aside objectivity, which of course is the hallmark of sound journalism, so that I can be subjective and say outright, E. Jean-Carroll is my hero. E. Jean, you are also the Silurians' hero because you are the consummate journalist, and you certainly earned fame as well as acclaim long before that man ever entered the picture and grabbed you by the public record. That is to say, you deserved the limelight long before Donald Trump's transgressions usurped and all but obscured the long roster of your impressive credentials as a working journalist. So who is E. Jean-Carroll really? To set the record straight, E. Jean-Carroll's career spans more than 50 years, and the highlights of it include writing kick-ass articles, many of them cover stories, for top-tier outlets such as Esquire, New York Magazine, Vanity Fair, and The Atlantic. Being named a contributing editor at Outside, Esquire, New York, and Playboy. Yes, E. Jean-Carroll was Playboy's first female contributing editor. Working at Saturday Night Live and being nominated in 1987 for a Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Writing for a variety series. Writing, hosting, and producing her very own cable television series, Ask E. Jean. This was from 1994 through 96, and being nominated for a Cable Ace Award in 1995. Wait, there's more. Our guest of honor wrote the Ask E. Jean column for Elle magazine from 1993 to 2019. Yes, for 27 years, which establishes her as one of the longest-running advice columnists in the U.S., in U.S. publishing. In addition, she has written 6 books, every one of them published by a big-name house, including her 1993 bio of Hunter Thompson, and of course, the memoir that she will talk to us about today. Now, E. Jean, another key reason why you are our hero and why you are in the spotlight today is because, in characteristically gutsy E. Jean-Carroll fashion, you responded to Donald Trump's denigrations by grabbing the president by, nope, sorry, got carried away again. I meant to say that you responded by grabbing hold of the president's very public slur of, "she's not my type," which was Trump's way of brushing off your charge of sexual assault. And you made hay with his misogynistic insult by using it in the title of your memoir, Not My Type, One Woman versus a President, which last June instantly topped 3 national bestseller lists and debuted at number 2 on the New York Times bestseller list. That memoir, about the 5 years that followed E. Jean's first lawsuit against Trump, was described by The Guardian as a breezy read packed with revenge, joy, and barbed wit. That memoir is why we are all here today, and it will be for sale, and E. Jean will sign them after the luncheon. By the way, have I mentioned yet that in 1963, E. Jean was crowned Miss Indiana University, and a year later, she won the title Miss Cheerleader USA. But I digress. There is one more E. Jean-Carroll achievement that I want to crow about. It's a very recent one. On August 30th, a documentary about her life titled Ask E. Jean, I mean, what else, premiered at the Telluride Film Festival. In November, I had the privilege of seeing that film at Doc NYC. Alas, the film does not yet have a distributor, but I urge all of you, as soon as and wherever that film is available to the public, do not miss it. And now, at last, I give you two women whom I think of as dynamos of journalism. Without further ado, the Silurians Press Club proudly presents Jean-Carroll in conversation with Molly Jong-Fast.
Whenever I am asked to interview Jean-Carroll, I must say yes, because she is who I want to be when I grow up. So any opportunity to talk to her, and we're going to talk about whatever she wants to talk about, because I truly believe it doesn't matter what questions you ask people when you're interviewing them, because they're going to say what they're going to. It's from interviewing a lot of politicians. I know they don't really care what you ask them. They're just going to say whatever they want. So, and I always think that the goal really is to get people, when you're doing a certain kind of interview, is to get people comfortable enough to say crazy stuff. But here, I have a lot I want to talk to her about, and I love Jean, and I'm a big Jean fan. So I'm going to ask you a question that I think about all the time, which is, people have such a hard time in this moment being brave. Donald Trump just gave a completely, I don't know if anyone is aware of this, batshit speech at Davos that sent European leaders into fits of pique, right? And I'm curious, I sit on a stage with one of the very few people who have stood up to Trump, so I want to know how you did it.
Molly. Thank you, Fran. That was a very long introduction. I'm here because of you, Molly Jong-Fast. I don't know if anybody knows this, but I never would have sued Donald Trump without Molly Jong-Fast. Never.
You're going to get the Jean-Carroll.
What happened is Molly had one of her parties, and at that party, hiding in an alcove outside your bedroom, I think, was a little short, at the time, chubby man. And I went over and I said, George Conway, thank you for writing. He had written an article in the Post. I never would have met George Conway without knowing Molly Jong-Fast. So we can really thank Molly Jong-Fast for what happened in the court. It's all due to Molly Jong-Fast. There it is.
Well, I'm honored to be a part of this story, but I want to know, because it's one thing to sue Trump, it's one thing to win, but it's another thing to be brave in the face of a lot of scary stuff. Going against Trump is not, the entire Republican Party, numerous Republican senators have, not seen the tweet or not heard the speech. An entire political party has twisted itself in knots not to be on the wrong side of this guy. So I just wonder, when you're getting those tweets, when the police come to make sure you're okay, what is the thing that you tell yourself?
I don't give a No, you pay a price. I understood. I was going to pay a price. I don't care if they shoot me. You have to go into that with that kind of philosophy. You just cannot care. And so that is why also has nothing to do with bravery. It's just nerve. It's just nerve. Our politicians today lack nerve. They're plenty brave. Anybody can be brave. It's having nerve. Well, you were born with nerve. So it's the word bravery is just it's too complicated a word. I do know what I possess a lot of nerve, and so do you. And I think every journalist in this room, and this is a powerful room. This is a very powerful one. People in this room have made a big difference in this country. And I'm honored to be here with many of the people that I have read over the years. It is such a wonderful feeling to be in your presence and to have Molly call me brave. You all are braver than I have been on my best day. I really don't have that. I just have nerve. That's it. Because I don't care if they kill me. And that's what it takes. Because every day the slush comes in. I live in a hovel in upstate New York. The slush of hatred pouring at me, I don't care. That's the thing. I'm living my life. I'm having a ball. Graydon Carter produced this great documentary. We had this great book. I have a friend like Molly Jong-Fast. So, no, it's great.
So I want you to talk about your story because you have. I want you to talk about writing this book, this most recent book about your story. Totally secret, by the way. I was on the set on Morning Joe, and I saw your name on the list, and I said, "Well, that's odd." I think it was August, right? Was it August or was June? June. And I said, "Well, that's odd. I wonder what she's coming on to talk about." And it was like, surprise! Here's this book. So tell us how you did that, because I've never seen that happen before, and it was just sort of brilliantly done.
Oh, it was. Well, St. Martin's Press, Elizabeth Disengard, the editor, you would have had to climb, have one of those cranes deliver you into a top floor and swing your legs through a window to get into St. Martin's to get a copy of this book. I could not get a copy of this book. They kept it so under wraps because they wanted to spring it, on the world. And there's Molly anchoring MS now. And the only thing I wanted to talk to Molly was Molly had just hit the bestseller list herself. So I was very, very pleased. I was reading Molly's book. I wanted to get on and talk about Molly's book. And Molly was truly surprised that I had written this little book, which was the history of what happened. So that was good. I was surprised to see you too.
When you write this story, I am a person who doesn't, as much as I write about myself, because it's for whatever, I'm stuck in my childhood. But for normal people, I'm not a person who likes to write about myself. Are you a person who likes to write about yourself? I always, every time I do it, I think I feel kind of just vulnerable and uncomfortable.
The book you wrote about yourself.
Uh-oh, now we're going to talk about myself. I want to talk about you.
No, we will in a minute, but Molly's book.
No.
Every single. Have you guys read Molly's book?
All right, let's stop.
All right, no,
Okay.
I'm just saying. It comes on page 58, I think, where Molly says she can't believe she's carping and complaining about her hideous tragedy that she was being hit from. And then she said, "I wonder if writing this book will make me feel better." Well,
spoiler, it did not. All right, it did a little bit. All right, but go on. I want to hear about you.
I sued Donald Trump, and then I found myself in the middle of a high comedy. I could not believe it. It was Jonathan Swift could not have made up the characters that I was running into. I had court transcripts. I had deposition transcripts. Every night during trial, I would go back to my room, pick up my phone, and pace and put in every detail I remembered, everything. So when I sat down, Molly, how am I not going to write that book? I had every piece of material. Remember, Nabokov had said, when he was writing Lolita, he just wanted one real letter from a child. He just wanted one real artifact from a child. And I had all of this. And I had every day when I come back from trial after putting in my notes, I would read all the reporters' reports about the trial. So I had all these visions of it.
Yeah.
And then I had all the photography coming in and Getty photos because Joe Tacopina would go into court and call me a liar and a slut and a horrible. And then I would go back to the hotel room and I'd look at the photos of myself to figure out who I was, because I was being attacked every day and being presented as a total other. So I loved gathering all these materials and writing this. It was just 8 months of sheer heaven. I just loved writing it. I just loved it.
So let's talk about this idea that you start to wonder who you are.
Oh,
because it's like something that happens, I think, when people write about you. I think it's something that happens when Trump World tells stories about you. And I wonder if you could talk about what you are old enough, as am I, to have a feeling about yourself. Did that change with all of the static that came from the trial? Did you feel differently about yourself from all the sort of noise that was coming?
I understood I was getting hit with it, and I looked at pictures. But I am just a hick who grew up in the sticks behind the sticks in Indiana. And luckily, I had 2 good parents, unlike certain people in this room. Molly had a great mother who, God bless her, Erica. By the way, when I first came to New York, right straight out of Indiana, and I took my dog, who was called Tits, and I put a rope around her to take my dog for a walk in Manhattan for the first time. I left my apartment on 26th Street, walked up 20 blocks, turned to the right. Just remember who I am, a hick from the sticks with my dog on a rope. Dog's name was Tits. And here comes, walking down 48th Street, a yard of blonde hair flying this way. And she's wearing light blue, and she's coming in. Her blue eyes are swimming, glittering, glinting in the sun. And it was Erica Jong, my first New York celebrity. And I thought, and now I'm sitting next to her daughter, Molly Jong-Fast, and you weren't even born then. This was 80.
So do you feel differently? Did you feel differently about yourself after, with all that? Did you ever let it get your confidence? Did it ever?
Oh, yes, of course. Yes, of course. Yeah.
Because
Yeah. I feel really ugly. Ugly. You have to put up with the ugly thing all the time, always getting him. But that's fine.
It is such an interesting moment as like a feminist.
Oh, liar,
right.
slut, and then
Because the misogyny is kind of the point, right?
Yes. Molly, when you first started your podcast, everybody made fun of the way you talked.
That's right.
And now
everybody
you're
talks
famous because of the way you talk.
Now everybody talks like that.
Now everybody wants to talk like you do. So that was, yeah.
But I mean, do you think that like part of this moment is that we're in a cycle of backlashes? Because, Roe v. Wade is gone. Roe v. Wade is gone. My entire life, my mom would say to me, we've made some mistakes, but at least you will always have rights over your own body. Like, bye-bye. So I wonder, do you think we're in a cycle of backlashes to feminism? Do you think that we are in a moment where we're going forward and going backwards?
Molly, we are in such a crazy moment right now. We are in such a crazy moment. I mean, every time we get up in the morning, something crazy is happening. We're just in a crazy habit. I'm sort of in favor of all the craziness. I like that it's going so crazy that we may come out all right at the end. I feel very optimistic about Americans. I feel very optimistic, particularly sitting in this room. In this room, we have got some people who are not. We have people who have some experience in life. And I think we can feel optimistic because the craziness is going to go over the edge. They're like lemmings now in their craziness, heading towards the edge. And I think, Molly, and Well, what do you think?
I don't know. I mean, the good news is I've been wrong about a lot of stuff. So
Really?
I'm pretty I've tried to be careful. I also am a little bit overly optimistic, which does not serve. I know has not served me, let me rephrase that. I have seen Democrats way overperform in in the last couple elections. I was in New Jersey covering Mikey Sherrill when everyone said it was getting tighter and tighter, and she, won by whatever, 8, 9, 10 points. I mean, so more, maybe more. So I'm optimistic, but that is probably my biggest failing. Will you talk about, in some ways, will you talk about the lawsuit? Because
Oh.
you are the only person to have ever won.
I know. It's not me. It's the great Robbie Kaplan, the legal mind of her generation. Robbie Kaplan thinks 4, 5, 6 moves ahead, just to be in her presence. If and we want Molly's son to be working for Molly, by the way. I mean, to be working for Robbie. She engineered. We ran mock trials before the trial. This is what Robbie does. We wanted to present our arguments to see if they worked, to see what the jury thought of them. And of course, we were way wrong. We didn't even see the gender divide in this country. We thought we're New York. No. After we presented our arguments to the 27 people that we paid, I don't know, $120 to sit in a ballroom and listen to all of our arguments, plus Trump's arguments, we found out that yes, 27 people believed that 2 people could end up in a Bergdorf dressing room. And yes, 27 people believed that 2 people could have something sexual go on in a Bergdorf dressing room. And 27 people believe that, yes, one of those people could be Donald Trump and one of those people could be E. Jean-Carroll. What we found out is people thought that I wanted it because he was just too cool and I was too old. And they couldn't believe it. So we
Even
went
though
back.
this took place 20 years ago?
So what we did was we went back to my old TV show from the exact time when it happened. We cut my hair like it was in 1996. I wore the very clothes I actually wore in 1996. We did today you and I are not wearing makeup, but for trial, I wore makeup. We did makeup like I did in 1996. We had to convince the jury that I was full. That was the essence and the heart of a case. An abuse and a rape case is always about the body of the woman. Always about the body of the woman. So that's what we could. And so Robbie Kaplan, after we had jury exercises, she came up these stairs. I'll never forget, we were going to have a big dinner to celebrate our arguments. First words out of her mouth, cut your hair. That was the first word out of her mouth. She understood that in New York, with a New York jury, they were not buying it. I was too old. I was too ugly. He was too cool. And that was the difficulty of our case because remember when New York Magazine came out with the cover? Amanda Demi, the great photographer, took the cover photograph. She's the one who did the Cosby photo with all the women. Remember, was sitting in the chairs? Amanda Demi saw me coming into the building for the photo shoot, and I had no makeup. She said, "That's it. No makeup. Right. No makeup. Clean face. Telling the truth. We don't use makeup." Big mistake. Never go on the cover of a magazine. Graydon, you know this. Never go on the cover of a magazine without makeup. So that's what started the problem. So that's it. So there you go.
In case you're wondering if misogyny is back, it's back.
Yeah.
The fact that you had to convince the
Yes.
the jury of that, it's
Yes.
I am not easily shocked, but I'm a little shocked by that. I mean, yeah,
Hello.
that's pretty dark.
Hello.
Yeah. But I have one other thing I want to ask Eugene, which is, and I relate to this idea that you're sort of called into the Trump world. You get called into Trump world, right? I mean, none of us chose to be in this situation, but we sort of found ourselves here. One of the things that I've been really struck by, and maybe I'm a little depressed, and maybe it's January, and it's so dark and so cold. But then I've spent 10 years of my life, maybe a little more than that, just covering this guy, writing about him and his family and all the carnage he's wrought. You think will there be a post-Trump life for us? Just tell me yes. This is a question for me. This is a question for my shrink. But make me feel better, Eugene.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about it. I'll tell you because I'm working on my next book.
Yes, excellent.
Oh, about the end of the world. And
Well, that's not so
AI,
good. That's not so
AI.
good.
We're very close to artificial general intelligence. When we get to artificial general intelligence, which will be within the next probably 18 months, artificial general intelligence will create its own next iteration, but will make it smarter. And then that iteration will make the next iteration, which will be smarter still. And then in a matter of weeks, we will have super intelligence. We have no idea, Molly, what's going to happen when super intelligence hits. We have no idea because it's like an ant trying to make the outcome of an NFL game, football game, in their favor. We have no idea. That is coming within the next 3 years. So we almost don't have to worry about Trump. What we have to worry about is super intelligence. AI is coming. It is coming. Elon Musk says the singularity is going to come in 2026. I think that's well, he's trying to raise money, so we can't pay any attention to him. But listen to me. I am talking to the experts. AI is coming for every journalist job in this. Well, we're all pretty advanced, and we all have reputations. It's not coming for us. It's coming for the younger people. It's coming for everybody. It's coming for your shrinks. It's coming for the lawyers. It's coming for everybody that they can replace, and they can replace 90% of Americans. Don't worry about Trump. Worry about super intelligence. Trust me. You heard it here today in this great club room. This is what we have to worry about, Molly. Really, really.
I was just looking for a yes. Things are going to be okay. That was not the answer I was going for. But now all of you are going to have chances to ask questions, and they have to be really good questions. We're going to pass the mic around.
An obvious question. When will you collect?
Oh. Well, when I will, unless the banking system goes down within the next 10 months. And we're not sure if the banking system will or will not go down. But if it goes down, then I will get the money. If it stays, if it doesn't go down.
You're certainly going to get the first $5 million, right?
Yes, Judge Kaplan has that in escrow.
Yeah.
We will get that, even though he's appealing the Supreme Court. But what I'm going to do with the $83 million is give it to everything Trump hates. I'm going to give that money to everything he hates. Well, he's appealing the first trial where he was, and Americans don't know this. Do you know that most Americans don't know he's held liable for sexual abuse? They don't know it. They don't live in New York. They don't get it on their Facebook feed. They don't get it on their Instagram. They do not know. we made a big mistake on the last election and kept quiet about it because Kamala's campaign asked us to stay quiet about it. I don't think we should have done that. I think Robbie Kaplan should have gotten out there, and she wanted to. You know Robbie. You know Robbie. She would have, the world needed to know that. So we think he's appealing the first trial in the Supreme Court. We don't think the Supreme Court will take it. I don't know what they'll do. And then he's appealing the second trial, and that, you all know the Supreme Court? I don't know if they'll take the case or not. But he has no case. He has no case. He will plead presidential immunity on the second case. This happened in 1996. He said, I was too ugly to rape, and is telling the Supreme Court that that was his duty as a president. So I don't think they're going to win the second case. And then I'm going to take that 100 million, with interest, and give it to getting back women's rights over their own bodies. God damn it. Right?
My name is Robin Reisig. Well, many women spoke out in 2016. None of them was raped. And if you had spoken out then, perhaps Trump never would have become president. How can you explain why you didn't speak out then?
Yeah, I can. I was never going to, never going to say this. Ever. I'm from the silent generation. I was born during the Second World War. We believed that when anything like that happens, you put your chin up and you smile and you go on. We would never, ever do that. And then I saw the women in the wine street coming forward, and I thought, holy crap. Because people were standing up around the country. I had no idea this would happen. I had no idea anybody would listen. I sort of knew nobody believed me because women are not really believed in this country. I sort of knew it wouldn't, But at 2016, my mother was a Republican politician, a Spitfire, and she was on her deathbed. And as the women came forward, we were all watching our family videos together. My mom, she was in love with it, and up comes Trump, and I just put it out of my head. And then I went to Molly Jong-Fast party. Thank you, Molly. And then I sued Donald Trump.
But what did Conway say at the party that changed?
Oh, he had a computer. He had his iPad with him because he always constantly working. And he said, Jean, I think you could, I have to get this right because George and I disagree. He said, I think you could sue Donald Trump. And George remembers it as me saying, could I sue Donald Trump? Big difference. But at any rate, he took the time to explain to me, a nincompoop, the difference between a civil trial and a criminal trial. I had no idea. And he said, you could win a civil case. You could win. And so that's what did it. That's what did it.
It's worth.
I remember the cake you served at that. Oh, such good cake. You have the best parties.
It's worth. George Conway, Harvard educated, Yale Law School, involved in the Federalist Society, willing to turn his genius.
He was president
towards
of
the
Federal,
light
yeah.
after Trump, and spend his time focusing on how to hold Trump accountable through, that had been used previously for the Supreme Court and overturning Roe, but we love him anyway. We'll forgive him for that.
And he's running for Congress.
And he is running for Congress.
Yeah, right here in New York City.
Yep.
And I thought you were going to run for Congress.
No.
You were considering it still?
No.
You decided not to. I would have voted for you.
You don't live in my district.
I
That
know.
would not have done me any good.
All right.
Pat Smith. affiliation is retired. If it's not too personal, first question a reporter asks, what's the E stand for, and why are you E. Jean?
Oh, that's nice. When I sold my first magazine article, by the way, it took me 25 years to break into magazines. I started at the age of 12. I sent off a letter to the Sears and Roebuck catalog with an idea for a story. At the age of 12, it was not until I was 37 that my first article was accepted by Esquire. And I thought my name, Jeannie Carroll, was just had no gravitas. So I took the E on the end of Jeannie and put it in front, E. Jean Carroll. I just was so excited about getting into Esquire, which at the time was the supreme magazine for fiction and nonfiction. And so that was it. There's the story, totally made up. Totally made up. My birth certificate name is Betty Jean Carroll. Everybody in this room probably has a story about their byline and how they came up with it, except for Molly Jong-Fast. I think I've read your. Guys, you got to read Molly's book. Molly Jong-Fast's father wanted you to change your name because he was afraid you were going to be kidnapped.
No, they were obsessed with the idea of giving me a good byline, basically. And so
that
that's why they gave me that name, was because they thought it was a very good byline. And if I wanted to write trashy stuff, I could. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Next question over here.
Jonathan Jenkins, I'm a guest. I came here because you're both great women, powerful women. Donald Trump is in Davos, obfuscating and distracting us with Greenland. I'd like to ask you what we should be doing now.
Are you asking me that? Because I think I'm wearing a flight suit because he's got troops on the street. I think we should all be outside. I think we should all be out in the streets. I swear to God, I can't believe we are so sitting back and letting Molly, we're sitting back. Are you yawning?
No, I'm not yawning.
It's just I am in Korea when that man tried to rise for dictator. In 48 hours, they got rid of him because every single Korean got into the street and screamed. What are we doing?
Well,
we should all be in Minnesota. We should all be there. What the are we doing?
I think we're going to have time to march in the streets. I
don't know. I haven't seen it yet.
But certainly registering voters, certainly, paying attention to these little elections that are coming up. And then we have a huge midterm election. And if Democrats win back the House and the Senate, which I think is very likely.
Molly,
Yes.
if in the 2026, if we can decipher what is a real campaign against what an AI campaign is, we won't even know who wins the election because of AI. Trust me, we have to be ready for this.
Spencer Rumsey, I just want to ask you about you encountered one of my journalism heroes who made me want to go into journalism, the Gonzo King, Hunter Thompson.
Yeah,
that was your first book.
Yeah.
And of course, as we know, who we've been edited, that a lot of it gets left out.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, looking back, is there something you wish you had put in that book about Hunter that you omitted through editorial pressure or
No.
or whatever?
No, I put in his daily routine. His daily
That's kind of
routine.
scary.
Well, at 3:15, cocaine. 3:25, coffee. 3:30, orange juice. 3:45, cocaine. 3:50, cocaine. 3:60, cocaine. All throughout. And then at around 6 o'clock, we'd go to the Woody Creek cabin, and the man ate like a horse. I mean, his secret for living so long was eating. And then we would come back, and there would be cocaine all night. And then at midnight, he was ready to write. And then it would be chartreuse, cocaine, what are those little cinnamon cigarettes, whatever those are?
Cloves.
Clove cigarettes, fettuccine Alfredo, cocaine, raspberry ice cream, cocaine. He had a cookie drawer that you would not believe. He had every kind of cookie, always fresh. They were thrown out at the end of every minute. New fresh cookies were every kind of ice cream treat. He had a cooler full of every kind of pop, every kind of esoteric pop from every kind of state. He had everything pleasurable you could ever want, and he loved drugs. He loved drugs, and he dealt with them. He dealt with them. He was living in a state of grace. I used to travel with Hunter, not exaggerating, 120 miles an hour on the roads outside Woody Creek, which is right outside of Aspen, at 100 miles an hour, at 120 miles an hour, ready, with the headlights off at midnight. When he passed the Woody Creek police station, it was like throwing red meat to wolves. They let him go. He was like a saint. He was like the man who told the truth. He was an incredible, he had a terrible dark side, that's true, but he was magnificent. I'd love to have Hunter alive now. I would love to see what Hunter Thompson would be writing about right now.
Claudia Dreyfus here.
Oh, hello, Claudia.
Hi. Hi. When we were both at Playboy, contributing writers at Playboy, what I remember about you was that you were salty, sexy, very bold. You didn't take stuff from the guys at all. You could hold your own with them. How did your experience in the dressing room change all that? And if it did the trial give you back your agency? What effect did it have on you that way?
What a good question.
No, I never had sex again after that dressing room. That was the effect.
Great victims often tell us that confronting their abuser helps them. Did it help you?
I feel great. Molly and I have to, on page 58 of Molly's book, you've got to read Molly's book. She talks about terrible things happened to Molly within a 13, 14-month period. Terrible things. Her mother and her stepfather both got dementia at the same time. Her husband became ill, et cetera. So Molly says on page 50, she's trying to hurry me up. I'm talking about your book for a minute. But she says on page 58, I hope writing about all this will help me get over it. I hope writing this terrible thing will help me get over it. Writing
does.
my book, it was the greatest therapy in the world. And I am freed, and I feel wonderful. Now,
Yeah, Joyce Wadler, I'm a writer.
Hi, Joyce.
I'd like to know what level of harassment and intimidation you're living with day to day and how you deal with it.
I'm extremely happy. I'm just we have, almost a foot of snow there. My pipes froze this morning. I don't care. I'm sledding. It's fantastic. If I just stay off the internet and don't listen, I'm happy.
So I think the answer is a lot. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Ann Wallace. I am not a journalist, I'm a poet. This has been a delightful event. Thank you so much. My question is, in addition to being a poet, I'm a mother of two daughters, 19 and 22 years old, and I'm also a professor who spends my days around young women and men, but young women who are, 19, 20 years old. And my question is, what advice, what wisdom do you have for this younger generation that is feeling, of women, that is feeling so demoralized and defeated by the rise of misogyny in this country and the things like the Epstein files being repeatedly repressed and kept secret? So what advice do you have for how young women move forward with their lives, with their careers, with their aspirations, what strength do you have to offer for them, aside from the fact of who you are and all that you've offered for us already?
Oh, man, you're young. Enjoy it. That is what I have to say to these young women. Enjoy it. You are at the peak of your lives. All you're wondering and you're discovering everything. And you just move for. Enjoy it. Clothes will never look as good on you ever again. Your hair will never be that thick and glossy again. Your health will never be at this peak again. Stop thinking about the bad stuff that's going on. Just go on in and love your life, because I'm telling you, in the next 5 years, you may not be able to get a job. Seriously. Good.
Thank you so much, E.Jean, for your incredible everything.
I loved it. Thank you, Eileen. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.